Hey, what's up, guys? It's Corey here with Dapper Dollars, and today we're going to go over October's income report from Merch by Amazon and the stock portfolio. You ready? Let's get started. So, this channel is all about using the Merch by Amazon opportunities so that you can build your passive income, invest that income, and increase your opportunity for financial freedom for yourself and your family in the future. If that sounds like something that you're interested in, like and subscribe below. And let's get into today's video, October's income report. Now, this video is a little bit similar to September's video, which is, as far as the dollars and cents and whatnot, which is a little concerning just because, October is supposed to be a pretty big month. We're ramping up into Q4. Breast cancer awareness. A lot of the shirts that I had are breast cancer awareness. I did make some mistakes, and I will address those later in the video. And also later in the video, I'll address what I think is one of the issues that we're dealing with Merch by Amazon and why some people are seeing lower sales volume leading into Q4 whenever things should be picking up. But anyway, let's get into what the actual numbers were for this month. Revenue for this month was $804. Ads were $296, so that's what I spent on ads. So leaving me with a profit of $508. Now, like I said, this is pretty similar to last month. Last month, I think I had $516. So this is about the same as last month, which again is a little concerning just because a large portion of my shirts are breast cancer, but I did make some mistakes as far as ad spend. Ad spend should not have been that high, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But all in all, $500 is $500 profit. So there's not much that can really be said about that. So I'm grateful for it. I will invest this money, and let's get into what were the top 3 niches that led to this profit for this month. Top 3 were breast cancer, of course, for October, autism awareness, and craft beer. And these 3 shirts, I only had 1 shirt in each of these niches, and these 3 shirts alone made me $274 this month. That is over half of what my monthly income was just from 3 shirts. So guys, I hope this is inspiration that if you want to have the high income that most people brag about on Merch by Amazon, a good portion of it is going to be from shirts that are in bigger niches. And this is always what I preach. A lot of people preach that you need to go into micro niches. I really don't think that is a profitable strategy for people who are restricted on time. And that I think that's most of you guys out there. So what I would encourage you to do is focus on how you can get into these bigger niches. I've made a bunch of videos, so please go through my channel. Look through the playlist like keywording and niche research and things like that to figure out how to find the most profitable niches. Actually, I'll link to that video here. And most profitable niches is probably one of the most helpful videos as far as getting you started on your Merch by Amazon journey so that you're able to actually get into a place to make a bunch of money. And I go over the case for that in that video. So, what is it? Reasonable mention or honorable mention as far as other niches that did well for me are spread kindness, realtor shirts, and trucker wives. These 3 are other shirts that really did well niches that really did well this month. But the top 3 were obviously breast cancer, autism, and craft beer. And yeah, so that's where we are for this month. Now, I messed up with overspending, and I'll link to that video here or down below, but I messed up with overspending on ads this month. I got carried away. It's something that I talked about in that video. I go over why I made this mistake, what mistakes specifically were made. I can go over it real quick now, but the main mistake that was made was that I was publishing designs for breast cancer and putting out ads for breast cancer shirts within the same month of the awareness month. So that is not a winning strategy just because you're going into the peak of this season with fresh designs. Whereas what you want to do that I've talked about in other videos is that you want to go into niches about 2 to 3 months ahead of when that design or when that month actually starts, so that you are able to establish your shirts in that niche, so that when the niche actually gains traction. So what I should have done was had my designs ready in August and September, and then had ads going to them then, so that they were gaining traction then, and then ramping up, and then just letting them go in October. But I made the mistake of really cranking up the spend on these ads. I let the ads get up to, I think, like 30 or 40% ACoS, which is double and over what profit I got. So I wound up spending about $5 only to make $3 sometimes. And that's just not a great situation to be in. And I was just living on hopium is the best way to say it. I made the mistake of just being hopeful that I was spending all of this money in the prime time of this season for breast cancer. And I made that mistake, and I now have to live with it. It cost me probably about $90, which is not good, because that means I could have had potentially $600 to invest this month, but I have $500. So purely my fault. But now let's talk about something that I addressed earlier in this video, which is people are saying that they're noticing a lower amount of sales coming in. I noticed this for myself specifically about 2 weeks ago. I had cut a lot of ads, but these were ads that weren't getting sales anyway. And then I wound up cutting ads that were going to shirts that were getting sales, but maybe they were, like I said, in the 40% ACoS range, and I just wanted to cut my losses and not advertise those shirts anymore. Maybe start advertising back for those shirts later in 2021 to gain traction again. But I noticed that my sales dropped probably 60 to 70%. Like I was getting maybe 12 to 15 sales a day, and the last 2 weeks I've been averaging anywhere from 2 to 8 sales a day. So what gives? Why? And I've noticed that I've talked to people in other Merch by Amazon communities, and I've put the question out there, and I've followed other people's questions, and a lot of people, at least maybe, I've seen this question at least in 4 or 5 different threads, and there are at least 5 to 6 people that comment on it saying that they've noticed the same thing, which is weird, because usually it's a new person to merch that says, I'm not getting sales, why isn't this happening? Or my sales have slowed down, why is this happening? And then you notice that they did what I did, which was designed for breast cancer, and then breast cancer month went away, and their shirt wasn't that popular anyway, so their sales went down, and so that explains why it happened. But the people that I've talked to and the people that I've noticed commenting on this stuff are pretty notable, and they've noticed a significant sales drop. So why is it? I think that it is partly due to the economic situation of America. You know, we haven't had stimulus checks for the rest of the country, and while some states like mine, I live in Louisiana, and we are mostly open. We actually voted to overturn the governor's lockdown restrictions, and most of the businesses in Louisiana are operating safely, but they are operating at a larger capacity than other countries. And you know, there are states like California, New York, I think Michigan, and a lot of the states in the Northeast are locked down still. Businesses can't open up. And the economy of the country is basically fighting with one arm tied behind its back, because a lot of these states are still locked down. So all of the people in those states, and bear in mind that most of those states hold the larger percentage of our population, you know, on the coastal regions. So, you know, New York has a large percentage of our population. California, Oregon, Arizona, those places have a large portion of our population. Nevada's opening back up, but yeah, these are places that have a huge portion of our population locked down. Businesses are closed, which means that people are not getting paid, which means that they don't have money to spend, which means that the luxury items like clothing and, you know, gifts and stuff like that are going to go down. So are we in for a bad Q4? Is this going to be a situation where, you know, we have a pretty drastic year as far as sales and, you know, not having as much revenue? It's very possible. I don't want to paint a negative situation and cause everyone to ditch from merch, but it is worth thinking about. We might not have the high volume that we do in Q4 most years. So that is my opinion. I do not know this for a fact, but looking at the situation that we're in, this is what I feel is leading to the lower sales and people just not having enough money. We get more stimulus checks, sales might go up, but I don't think it would be wise for people who got stimulus checks to spend their money on Amazon merch. So anyway, if this is your full-time gig, you might want to start looking at other stuff. If you're doing this part-time like I am, just ride it out. It's not, definitely do not make merch your primary dependency as far as income. Continue to keep merch on the back burner. Do not rely on this income and just use it for investments like I suggest. Now, moving on from that, pancreatic cancer awareness. This is one that I got into last month, and you saw that I had some success, and the success has continued. I have published 18 designs in this niche. 6 of them have sold, and 3 of them are consistent sellers now. Consistent sellers meaning that they've sold at least once or twice per week or every other week. So this is great news for me. And one of the shirts has even gotten to the point where I'm thinking about turning the ads off because it's on the front page. And I don't think that I need to spend money on that shirt anymore. And this is what the goal is, guys. This is what I should have done for breast cancer, because pancreatic cancer awareness is coming up in November. One of my shirts is now on the front page, so I can essentially turn that ad off, and then everything that comes in would be pure profit. Now, that is where I'm at for pancreatic cancer awareness, and I don't know if I'm going to do much more in this niche. I mean, I've cranked out probably, I think, 25, 26 designs in this niche. A lot of them have been really good sellers. I might come back after November because pancreatic cancer awareness is happening in November. So like I said, I don't want to make the same mistake twice of, publishing designs for the month of the awareness month. So I might come back to pancreatic cancer in January, February, something like that. And that's where pancreatic cancer awareness is. And as far as shirts that I've uploaded in total this month, I've uploaded 44 designs, all of them in the autism teacher space, leukemia, pancreatic cancer, and breast cancer space. Those are the 4 niches that I've uploaded to this month. So this is, I think, more reinforcement I live by what I say, that you don't need to be in a lot of different niches. You just need to be in a few specific niches that you're aware of and that work well with what your strengths are. My strengths are a little bit of design, but mostly wordplay and motivational sayings. These motivational sayings and the wordplay goes really well with what already exists in these awareness spaces, so that's why I believe that I have success most of the time with these spaces. And that's where I'm at, It's been a rough month. I haven't really enjoyed the sales. And as we're about to talk about, I really have not enjoyed the stock market at all. It has been rough. I know last month I had a return of maybe 8 to 9% on my stock portfolio. Now I am negative 20% on my stock portfolio. And the account is now worth $3,428. It's been a rough year for the stock market. The crash of Corona, and then now the elections. There's a lot of turmoil. A lot of people don't really know what's going on. They see the lockdowns happening in Europe and across the world, and we don't know if our country is going to need to be shut down again. So people are selling out again. And there's just so much craziness going on that the market is selling off in a big way right now. But this creates a buying opportunity because now I have cash from Merch by Amazon to invest and just ride out. I'm going to suggest that people not invest. At least I personally am not going to invest maybe much more money until January, because there is going to be the election that's going to be crazy. People are going to sell out because right now the market is pricing in, seems to be pricing in, that Biden is going to win. However, I have a theory that that's not going to happen, and that is going to shock the market, and the market is not going, or the market is going to sell off, and the bets that people have made on Biden winning, people are going to ditch the investment that they've made and re-strategize somewhere else. Now, the reason I think that Biden won't win, now again, this is just my theory, and this is based on past history. Trump won in 2016 by a narrow margin. If you know anything about Trump voters have not had a reason to fall away from Trump. They have not experienced, most people whenever polled, I think 65% of people say in the last 4 years their quality of life has not gone down. And if you know anything about Trump voters, again, they don't really shy away from Trump. They have been almost emboldened by what's happening between the riots, the lockdowns, the blatant disregard for the truth from the media in many different perspectives. A lot of people who I talk to who are on the fence are leaning more towards Trump just because he's an underdog. And he is obviously being beaten down by the media. So, consider Trump won in 2016. Trump's base is still there. The Democrats' base has shrunk, if anything, because they're not a fan of the lockdowns, and they're not a fan of what the Democratic Party is doing. So if anything, Trump's base has grown. The polls are tightening right now, and we see that it's becoming a dead heat race the way it was with Hillary Clinton. It is my opinion that Trump will win the presidency again because his voter base has not shrunk. It has, if anything, grown. And that is why I think the presidency is going to go to Trump this year. The market's going to sell off, and January is going to be the better time to invest. Now, I fully expect to get a whole bunch of hate, but this is just my opinion. I could be wrong. I could be right. Either way, I'm going to hold on to my money until that happens. So, that's where I stand with the markets. Helion, you'll notice I was betting on big, and it crashed after the sell-off. A lot of people were investing in Helion just because it was the hype train leading into this new electric vehicle technology, and once it finally came out the other side of being its own stock symbol and it wasn't a shell company any longer, a lot of people sold off because they were like, well, this is what we wanted. The hype train has ended, and now we can all get off and take our profits. And now the stock went from like almost $40 or $40 at one point, and it was $18, I think, on Friday. So it's a pretty great buying opportunity if you're a long-term investor in Helion, which I am. I bought $200 worth of shares at $20 earlier this week. So I'm still investing in Helion, and I will likely buy again in January. Hopefully the shares will still be around the same price, and that's where I'm at with them. The only stock that I'm looking at adding to my portfolio is Vuzix, and I've done a video on them. I will link to that here. And Vuzix is a company that is a augmented reality glasses company. You can go look at that video, and it's the one that I believe has the potential to be a game changer as far as military, medical, and the industrial space. So it has a huge market to affect and disrupt and improve in a really great way. So I'm excited to see what happens there. It's a spec play, so I don't know if it's actually going to be what I think it's going to be, but it's one that I'm willing to put a little bit of money on and see what happens. And yeah, so that's all I've got for you. That is October in a nutshell, ready to be done with 2020. This has been a crazy year, and I'm ready to be done with it, but I'm still making money. I'm still able to invest. Life is good. We're all going to be okay at the end of this. Just take time to breathe and be glad that you're able to do what you do. Anyway, remember, someone's going to do something great every day, guys. Why not you? See ya.